Welcome to Very Rich Stories, where you will hear stories of love, betrayals, and twists in real life. Today's story is: she had to marry a broke man for a $100 million inheritance. But they all had secrets. Hayley James never thought her grandfather's death would come with a game, or that she'd have to marry a broke man to inherit $100 million. But the man she chose had a secret that would change everything. Hayley James was the only grandchild of Charles James, billionaire hotel mogul, family patriarch, and, secretly, a romantic at heart. Her grandfather, Charles James, said, "I've spoiled you, Hayley, but when I'm gone, I don't want you to be alone, and I want to know you can tell real gold from glitter." "Granddad, there is a lot of glitter out here." "These guys? They are so shallow. I'm not really interested." "Hayley, when I'm gone, I don't want you to be alone." "Granddad, do I have to get married?" "No, child, you don't have to, but I want you to." "Granddad, I promise. If I meet someone interesting, genuine, real, and honest." "That's a big list, but yes, hold to your standards. And someone who is not after me for what I have." Shortly after that, Granddad died. He was 95 years old. The lawyer clears his throat and then speaks up. "The will is clear. Hayley, you will receive the full $100 million inheritance if you marry one of the 3 men your grandfather personally selected. Within 30 days. Hayley interjects, "Wait, what? Granddad said I didn't have to get married." The lawyer repeats, "It's in the will, Miss James." "But I'm the last one left." "Why? Why are there rules and things?" The lawyer repeats, "It's in the will, Hayley. And confidentially, Hayley, it might be because you're the last one left and your granddad didn't want you to be alone." Hayley gives the lawyer a knowing look and then thinks. How will she live without the inheritance? She has some means, but Granddad has spoiled her. She's used to certain luxuries. So she inquires, "Who are they? What men?" "You'll meet them shortly. They don't know about the inheritance. Only that they've been invited to participate in a relationship experiment for a small stipend." "Wait, you're paying these guys to meet me? Date me? Marry me?" She finally said in disbelief. "It's your grandpa's wish, and it must be fulfilled according to the terms of this will. Meet the men. Monday Jackson, the fallen CEO. Ex-tech founder who lost everything in a corporate scandal. Cold, intense, distrustful, narcissist, always scheming." Jackson says to Hayley, "You're rich. I'm not. Let's not pretend we're on the same level right now. But I am used to the finer things in life and I can get used to them again." Very quickly he said, trying to sound charming. He had once been rich and lost it all. Now he kept his guard higher than his standards. Tuesday, Marcus, the ex-con. Wrongfully imprisoned for a crime he didn't commit. He was imprisoned for 18 months and lost everything. In his last year of college, a girl who liked him was jealous that he liked someone else. She tried to get him to be with her and he refused. So, she falsely accused him of ignoring her no when she said no. Marcus has a tough exterior. Reads philosophy books. Trust issues. Deep thinker. Probably got all those traits from prison. Talks jail talk a lot, but doesn't realize that he is doing it. Hayley doesn't really understand him all the time. Has lost a lot of self-esteem. Marcus said to Hayley, "You don't want someone like me in your family photo." Just that line brought a tear to Hayley's eyes. She saw his pain and feelings of inadequacy. Marcus had every reason to be bitter, but chose honesty over hate. Hayley and Megan meet up in Hayley's penthouse. "OMG Hayley, I've met these 2 guys and neither one is my aesthetic or my spec. What should I do?" "Well, Hayley, do you have some funds available?" "Yes. You know I received inheritance from my mother and father when they passed years ago." "Yeah, you were so young then." "I know. I barely remember them." "Where were they?" "Nepal. On an archaeological dig, there was a massive earthquake, their site collapsed, and I never saw them again. That was so sad. We were in grade school then." "Yeah, girl, that's when we met." Yep, and we've been like sisters ever since. I know that's right. So, here's an idea. Why not clean them up and see how they look then? Oh, Megan, that's a great idea. So, Hayley sends both of the men into a man's salon to get them well-groomed and then to a clothier for a wardrobe change, top to bottom. Wednesday, she meets the new and improved Jackson. She could not believe her eyes. First, he arrived at the posh restaurant that he chose in a limo. His arrival may have been with fanfare and trumpets for all she knew, because he surely got the attention of everyone in the restaurant. He got out of the limo like a rock star. She was almost sure she saw him mouth something like, "Baby, I'm back." His outfit was indescribable. He was behaving as a peacock and was dressed like one, down to a full-length matching peacock cape. He looked like Bill Nye the Science Guy's city slicker brother. People stopped dining to look at him. Jackson thought that was a good thing. It was not. Hayley found out from her PA that the $1,000 budget for Jackson wasn't enough. He insisted that he was a man of distinction and taste. His budget exceeded $5,000 for his makeover. Hayley asked him about his budget faux pas. Jackson replied, "So you're the type to ask me about money? I thought you had money the reason you were picking me up off the street and doing this makeover thing. Like you made a man for yourself like I'm a Build-A-Bear, and now you want to run him? You want to own me? Nobody is going to own me, I'm Jackson. I'm Jackson." Oh no. Jackson gets up, indignant, and walks out. Thursday, Marcus's makeover is complete, so she meets him for dinner. He's still got bad self-talk and a poor image of himself. Nothing that counseling or therapy wouldn't correct, but how long? She only had a little more than 3 weeks to choose a husband to get her inheritance. At least he was humble. But is too humble a thing? No, too humble is broke down. When a man is more than broke and is all the way broke down, that's two big problems. That date didn't end very favorably as far as Hayley was concerned. What was Granddad thinking? Every time Hayley went out, she looked in the lowest places, the poorest places, the most common places. OMG, she thought to herself, this cannot be what life has come to. This cannot be her type, her aesthetic, her class, and her kind of man. A poor downtrodden man cannot be her spec. No, Grandpa. But she would never disrespect her grandfather. For money or not for money. He had raised her when her parents were lost in the earthquake in Nepal. Her parents were always going exotic places, her grandfather would tell her. It was so unfortunate for them, but her grandma had insisted that Hayley stay with her while they went on that last fateful trip. Saturday, Hayley goes out looking again. He makes plans to meet her friend Megan. They will meet for a short stroll in the park. Hayley rests on the park bench for her girlfriend. Megan does not show up. While she's sitting there waiting, Trey, a homeless but talented artist, sketches her. He is warm, gentle, and curious. A man had come by and given Trey $500 to sketch the woman on the park bench. Money or no money, when he saw Hayley he wanted to sketch her because he never wanted to forget her. She seemed like a person that he should never forget. Never. Trey was kind. Creative. Quietly carrying a broken past no one knew about. Trey said within himself almost daily, "I don't have much, but I've still got a soul. That's got to count for something." He walks up to her, says nothing, but hands her the sketch. She is riveted by the sketch. By his talent, even though she is thinking, is something wrong with this guy? Is he mute or something? Can't he talk? She thinks about it and him all night. There is something about his eyes. A kindness. A friendliness. It's as though they've met before, but Hayley would not have had anything to do with a park person, or a street person, or a homeless person. Yet, she can't stop looking at the sketch. He's captured something about her that she didn't even know was there, a softness, a distant pain, but a glimmer of hope. Hayley goes back to the park the next day at the same time, hoping to see him again. Hayley's girlfriend, Megan, is in on this, but Hayley doesn't know. So, Megan lets the lawyer know what time she will fake meet Hayley on Sunday. Hayley goes to the park with 2 iced coffees for herself and Megan. Of course, Megan doesn't show up, but the lawyer makes sure that Trey is there by a young family asking for a sketch at that day at the same time that Hayley will be fake meeting Megan. Hayley and Trey connect. Hayley grumbles a little bit that Megan is not showing up and is not answering her calls or texts, but keeps her eyes alert. While looking for Megan, she sees Trey. She walks near him and watches him sketch kids and passers by. Trey didn't try to impress Hayley. He just showed up. Real. Vulnerable. Present. And she started seeing something no money could buy. After finding out his name, Hayley says, "Trey, may I ask, how did you happen to be here, in the park?" "Like this?" He answered, "I didn't always live here. But two things, I wanted to pursue a career in art, but my father said no, I must join the family business. And the final straw was when they lined up a family's approved fiancé and told me that if I didn't marry her, that they would disinherit me." "What happened?" Hayley wanted to know. Trey continued, "They arranged the whole thing. I refused. I didn't want to marry someone I didn't know, I hadn't even met her. It was too much. So I walked away from all of it." Hayley had never met someone who gave up wealth for principle. It shook something in her. Here she was following the rules of a game to get inheritance, while Trey was walking away from it to be his own man. Was Trey a better person than she was? Was he more principled? Yet she was the one interviewing him to get a husband. The irony was not lost on her. Monday, she went out with Jackson again. He was insistent because he knew she was well off and wanted to better his situation. He was just as loud and just as arrogant. He looks amazing, but he is still kind of a jerk. Armani suit, Hugo Boss, Bruno Magli shoes, it was a hodgepodge of designer stuff. He said, "Baby, I'm back." Oh no, not that again. It was toned down from the other day, but he wore a cape again. Like a magician. Hayley was looking for a magic wand, a bunny, a bunch of doves. Something to explain the cape. But there was nothing. His swag was over the top. He was now a well-dressed jerk because now he thought he had the look. As if a woman was looking for a look, or maybe shallow women are. If the man looks okay, she'll go out with him. That is not true for every woman. Hayley took a look at the toned-down Jackson and said, "I can't. I just can't." This time Hayley walked out. Tuesday, she went out with Marcus again. This time she decided to listen to him, really listen. Because when she had let Jackson speak, and he had revealed who he really was. "So, Marcus, you look nice. How was your makeover day?" "It was fine, Miss Hayley, but I'm still just me on the inside." The inside, Marcus has a flashback. You learn real quick who is real and who is fake when you're behind the fence. "I don't want to be fake, I've just got to be me." "Okay," said Hayley. "I see you stayed in budget." "I ain't no thief, Miss Hayley." "What do you mean by that?" "Well, during our makeovers, I saw Jackson doing the most, but I didn't say anything. Snitches get stitches. That rule don't stop at the gate. I keep my mouth shut." "Marcus, I notice that you talk about prison a lot." "No, I don't. I don't talk about it and I don't want to talk about it. I kept my head down and I did my bid." "So, you don't want to talk about it?" "No. I do not." Marcus became very quiet, never forgetting that it is hard on the inside. They ate the rest of the meal in silence. That imprisonment, false or not, really did a number on Marcus's head. Later on, Hayley would find out from the lawyer that the woman who falsely accused Marcus ended up in jail herself for the false accusation and Marcus was let out. He had only one more semester in college when the accusations came. But his plans and life were derailed. Marcus had no college degree even though he had worked 3.5 years to earn one. Because of that he was already several years behind in his career. This prison thing had scarred him in every way, although it was no fault of his own. He was not a dangerous man, he was a beaten down and broken man. Hayley and Megan met for a quick lunch. Megan wanted to know, how did the meetups with the two makeover guys go? "Well, girl, Jackson is a whole trip." "Okay." "Marcus is a nice guy. He's been through a lot. I think he could be a contender for someone, he just needs more time to become himself again. Okay? So which of the two? Neither. Marcus is not bad at all, but I get brother vibes from him. I'm not attracted to him in a romantic way. Oh wow. So it's Jackson. No way. No way could it be Jackson. So what are you going to do? You only have a few weeks left. I know, girl. I know. Hayley was thinking of giving up on the whole thing, but she didn't tell anyone yet. The second week, Hayley went to the park and saw Trey. He looked different. It looked like he may have had a haircut. And somehow looked more put together. She decided to ask him about it. Trey? Do you look different? Maybe, he said with a bright smile. Well, do you? I'll tell you if you take a stroll with me. They walked and talked in the park. It was lovely. They returned back to his usual spot and he sat down to do sketches again. People came through and some of them offered to pay him a little for each sketch. That's how he had been making it for the past year. By the third week, Hayley had already seen Trey 3 times that week. She would find reasons to go to or through the park to see him. Then she realized that Trey had captured her attention and maybe even distracted her from her mission of finding a broke man to marry. Thursday of that week, in a panic, Hayley called the lawyer and said to him, both Jackson and Marcus were each their own disaster. What happened to the third guy? He dropped out, Hayley. You mean a broke, busted, and disgusted guy dropped out of an opportunity to marry a well-off? Rich, said the lawyer. Rich woman, finished Hayley. Yes'm. He said he didn't believe in relationships for money. He also said he didn't believe in experiments or deceiving people. Wow. Hayley paused for a moment, but then blurted out, is there a backup, a substitute, or am I supposed to find my own? She didn't really want to say it, but find my own bum? Then corrected herself, I mean person down on their luck. Hayley, your grandfather picked out 3, 2 showed up. The third can be your choice, but you only have until next week to tell us your decision. Hayley was exasperated, but she had to scramble to do something. Grudgingly, she took to the streets, going to areas of town that she would never usually go to see if there was a broke guy somewhere who could be or turn into marriage material. After several bad neighborhoods it was getting dark, and she was really becoming afraid. So, she jumped into her luxury automobile and drove back to her grandfather's estate. She could have dinner there, the staff still took care of the house. Afterward she would just spend time in the house she basically grew up in, and just think. It's almost like Granddad answered. Around 10 p.m., the solution came to her. She decided to be bold and ask Trey, or man, she didn't want to ask a man to marry her, but she was going to ask Trey. After all, she had fallen for him already anyway. The next morning, bright and early, she found him in the park, in his usual spot. Trey! Trey! She yelled, running toward him. Yes. Good morning, Hayley. Morning, Trey. I bought you a coffee? Thanks. You're very artistic. Thank you. I know that you stepped away from your family because you didn't want an arranged marriage. Right. But, she said, and then hesitated for a beat. Yes? If you did get married, what would your wedding be like? Trey's eyes met hers. Knowingly. He smiled the smallest of smiles and then said, it would be as my bride desired, a beautiful church, flowers, lace gown, tuxedo for me, all the fixings. I'd have a very nice home for us to live in to start our lives together. Roses? Calla lilies. That all sounds wonderful, Trey. And I'd have an art studio and showings and one day my own gallery. We'd have 2 children and we would share life and our home would be filled with joy. Hayley was crying by now. Trey, can you afford any of that right now? Trey hung his head. No. Then Hayley blurted out, whether you have money or no money, Trey, we can have all that, if you will marry me. What? He exclaimed. Yes. Are you serious? Yes, I am serious. Then it was settled, and they embraced like 2 who had been on an island where there was no love and they were thirsty for both water and love. Decision day. In his office the lawyer speaks up, the selection period is up. The wedding must be by the 30th. The lawyer asks the $100 million question. It's time, Miss James. Who do you choose to marry? Hayley looks at Trey. Hayley immediately says, I choose Trey. Jackson shrugs and dips out while saying, who was that guy? He wasn't even in the running. Where did he come from? It's not fair. Marcus nods respectfully and stands there sincerely celebrating that Hayley found the person she wants to marry. The lawyer states the condition is fulfilled. The full inheritance is now yours. The men all leave and Hayley stayed behind to sign tons of documents. Once that was concluded, Hayley texted Megan. Girl, I'm getting married. You'll stand up for me? Be my maid of honor? Yes, you know it, Hayley, squealed Megan. When are you getting married? Asked Megan as if she didn't know. It's got to be by next week, by the 30th. OMG, Megan, how can I get married in a week? Nothing is planned. Hayley. Calm down. I got you. I'll be at your house bright and early in the morning. Are you sure? Yep, Hayley, I'm sure. I'll be there. Gotta go, and Megan ends the call. As Hayley leaves the lawyer's office, Trey is patiently waiting for her outside. They walk to the far end of the park. They enter a very quiet, old-world-style neighborhood. Hayley wants to know, Trey, where are we going? Trey answers, somewhere I left a long time ago. They arrive at a stately home where Trey rings the doorbell. The door opens and an older couple gasps. Trey? Son, welcome home. His parents were quick to let Trey know that they were holding nothing against him, they missed him, and he was welcome back home with no stipulations. They embraced Trey so tightly that he thought he was a teddy bear and they might squeeze the stuffings out of him. Oh son, his dad said, honestly, at first, we thought you were rebellious, but we have come to realize over all these months that you are simply principled. Trey's eyes teared up. Son, his dad continued, you can follow whatever career path that pleases you. And marry anyone you want. His mom chimes in, and you don't even have to get married at all if you don't want to. It's not worth fighting over, Trey, said his dad. We will respect your wishes. Please come home. It's not family without you. Everyone is crying now, but it is the perfect segue. Trey nods aggressively and then pulls himself together and addresses his parents. Mom, Dad, I'd like you to meet my fiancé. Trey is interrupted when his mother says in disbelief, Fiancé? Trey? Yes, Mom, we are getting married next week. Next week? Shouts his dad. Then Mom takes a good look at Hayley and says, Hayley? Trey's father, whispering, that's her. That's Hayley James. Yes, sir. I'm Hayley James. Nice to meet you both. Charles James' granddaughter? Charles James of James Enterprises? Yes, m. The parents look at one another very pleased. Oh dear, welcome to the family. Come on in. We knew your family for years. Trey's dad adds, I was in school with your dad, Hayley. We were close friends. My dad? She gasped. Yes. And Trey's mother said, your mom and I were also friends. Hayley, I remember when you were born. You do? Yes. Afterward, it was so heartbreaking. It was only by a miracle that you weren't with your parents on that dig in Nepal. They used to take you everywhere they went. They did? Yes. I don't remember, said Hayley very softly. Your granddad became like a mentor to me when I was just starting out in business. Trey was so confused but happy. Well, he thought to himself, at least he was back, and they were accepting him and his wife-to-be. Trey had learned, it's hard on the outside. His dad whispers to his wife, but louder than a whisper, it was her all along. Trey's mom nods, smiling. I know, honey. Hayley in a shocked voice says, what do you mean? Trey frowning, says, wait, the woman I was supposed to marry? A year ago. Mother, crying yes. We arranged it with her grandfather. You refused. You said you wanted love, not a contract. We thought we lost you forever, son. All those years ago, Trey's parents had arranged with Charles James for Trey to marry Hayley, but they never met. They both were away at different schools and went to different colleges out of state. Granddad and Trey's parents had tried to introduce them, but Trey had refused to meet and had left home. Now, fate had brought them together on their own terms. Trey's father said, "You found each other, anyway. Your own way. Welcome home, both of you." Trey's mom says, "You two, come on in and sit down, let's have dinner," and after that, she wraps her elbow into Hayley's. "We will pull out the photo albums. We have pictures of you when you were a baby." "Me?" "Yes, we have so many pictures of you and your mom and dad." Turning to Trey, she says, "You two even met as babies and had a few playdates as toddlers." "We did?" they both exclaimed simultaneously. "Yes, you did," said Mom, and they all went to the dining room led by the smell of rosemary and lemon chicken. After dinner and dessert and coffee while visiting over baby pictures, Trey walked Hayley home, saying to his parents, "I will be back in about an hour." Trey would sleep in his own bed tonight for the first time in about a year. Reflecting on what she had learned going through the process of Granddad's game, she has learned to look deeper than wealth or no wealth. Trey had learned to stick to his principles, but to respect mother and father. They have been in this world longer than you and they may know many more things than you know and many more things than you think you know. The next morning, Hayley buzzed Megan in very early at her penthouse. Wedding dresses on garment racks were pushed in. They were gorgeous. Hayley didn't know where to start, but a wedding stylist and planner came with and helped her select the right dress for her. Every hour someone new knocked on the door to bring her cake samples, menu tastings, flowers, travel agents who had luxurious and dreamy honeymoon packages planned. The venue had already been chosen. And so on. The wedding was planned by Megan. And by the next day, it was approved by Hayley. The wedding was very beautiful. It was held at St. Michael's Church. Since Trey's dad knew her dad, he was asked to walk Hayley down the aisle. Trey walked his mom in first and stood at the altar waiting for his bride. There was a garden reception at Granddad's estate. Exhilarating and exhausting, but by the end of the day, Hayley felt not just that she had a husband, but she had a mom and dad, something she hadn't had in years and years. It was perfect. Immediately after their honeymoon, Hayley arranged through her lawyer and paid for Marcus to have his record expunged, because he had been falsely accused. She paid for him to go to therapy to get his mind right again. After that, she also paid for him to finish his last semester of college. Marcus went on to law school and then sued the state for locking him up falsely and sued the girl who accused him. That was his first case, and it was public. He got his voice and his confidence back. Through hard work and therapy and renewed faith, Marcus brought the rest of himself, his very soul, out of prison and became a whole person again, and a successful attorney. Through all that, Marcus also learned how to get back up again and not stay down when someone puts you down. Marcus also had to learn how to leave the past, emotions, hurts, and challenges in the past to be successful in life. Jackson? We don't know what happened to him. But he was certainly well dressed while he did whatever he did next. If he hadn't have been so prideful, so greedy to overspend on the makeover, and so arrogant. Hayley could have also assisted him in returning to a normal life instead of just being some guy just out there. But it is hard for a narcissist to hear others when they speak. And how could Jackson hear over that loud suit anyway? When Marcus came back to thank Hayley, and also Trey. At that time, he met Megan, Hayley's best friend, and they became a couple. For helping her connect with Trey and planning her wedding, Hayley gave Megan her penthouse while she and her new husband Trey moved into Granddad's estate. They all became good friends over many years. In one of those years, Megan told Hayley, "Trey was the match all along. I set you up in the park those first 2 times so you two would meet." "You did that, Megan?" "Yep," she said laughing. "You know, Hayley, your granddad was like a grandfather to me as well. He paid my college tuition, you know?" "I didn't know." "Yeah, he and I would often sit and talk. Before he passed, he asked me to help you in any way I could and he told me he especially wanted you to get married. And he said, to Trey Williams. What? You knew? Yes. He gave me the number to a private investigator who found Trey. We orchestrated a lot with Granddad's lawyer, and the rest is history. That's why that stipulation was in his will. We knew where Trey was. Yes, Hayley, that is exactly why it was written that way. Trey teared up a little just thinking that someone who didn't even know him cared enough to send people to come and rescue him off the streets. That emotion touched him, but quickly passed and they all laughed happily. Especially Hayley, who had friends, family, and joy again even after the loss of so much, including her dearly departed granddad. Thank you for viewing this video. Would you also have chosen Trey or one of the others? Or would you have just walked away from it all? Do you think Hayley should plan Meghan's wedding? The false accusation against Marcus nearly destroyed his life. Does a man have a right to say no, and it means no, just as women do? Tune in again to Very Rich Stories, where you will see stories of love, betrayal, and twists in real life. Like, share, subscribe. Get your I Know Is No t-shirt from the Breakup Central store on Etsy.